Hello, my name is Becky Kadaya. I am a sophomore here at HSU. I am a biology major and I also run track here at Hardin Simmons. So, in psychology, I wrote my paper over depression. Um, Depression is one of the leading causes of disabilities in the world. I also found that 75% of people with mental disorders have depression. It has I it has also been stated that depression is found more in women than in men. I believe that depression is a stage where someone is a stage of conflict where someone feels alone. They have low moods. They feel as if they are not worthy of anything. They have a hard time eating, sleeping. Their energy levels are low. They distance themselves from people, friends, family. They lose interest in a lot of activities. Um, and they just basically lose confidence in themselves. So, I did some interviews on a couple of my friends, um, some people who actually know someone who've gone through depression, and I asked them a couple questions, and they just stated what they thought about depression, and I really hope you guys like it. Thank you.
Hi, how you doing? My name is Samuel Wells, and I'm currently a freshman at Hardin Simmons University.
Hello, Sam. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Good. So, can you tell me a little bit about depression?
It comes in many forms. It's exhausting. One relatable form it comes in is sleeping, just because depression can kind of give you just a different persona of who you are, but that's not really you. It's just something that's kind of become of you, kind of throws you off your path in life and distracts you from what your main goal is.
Okay. I'm going to ask you some questions. If you could be honest, or you can relate it to any part of your history.
About my past life, yeah.
Past life.
I got you.
Okay. So, first question is, what do you think depression is?
Depression, it usually just comes from maybe just lack of like feeling or connection with others, or what you've gone through in your past life and how it kind of affects you and changes your emotional state of mind, and kind of like maybe like an intellectual level or whatnot. So it just comes in a different form.
Okay. What do you think causes depression?
Uh, One, I guess, just either the way you've been treated or different traumas that have happened. Me personally, I know depression kind of came about when I lost my father back in 2011. So that kind of threw me off my path a little bit. So depression can kind of just really make you like have a different state of mind of like what you like think life should be about.
Okay. When you went through that, what do you think? How did you come to mind that you had depression?
It wasn't on spot. It was more just a reoccurring. It was like a snowball effect. So just not talking to people as much, kind of just bottling your emotions, it can build over time. And usually that kind of lets out as anger, crying, being sad, kind of isolating yourself from people. Is so it just kind of it overflows once it's too late to let it out.
Okay. How did you deal with depression, or how do you think people should deal with depression?
For one, I started with poetry and art. I just think it's a simple way to kind of express who you are, like you're feeling and what you're thinking. And then I just started talking to family members. I went to see a therapist for a little bit, but then after that, it was more just prayer, making sure God's number one in your life, and reaching out to family members and friends, and kind of just associating yourself with things that are going to make you happy. So.
Okay. And so, when you dealt with depression and you went to therapy, did they give you treatments, or did you go through it by yourself?
Well, a little bit. As a kid, around like 7 or 8, I did take just a little medication and whatnot, but that kind of played off towards the end. So I kind of made the decision where it's just I need to start being happy on my own without having doctors trying to give me all this and that, and more just kind of getting back on track with God, because I kind of fell off for a little bit. So recreating that path again with Him it was a blessing.
Okay. And if you were to talk to someone who is going through depression, what advice would you give them, or what would you tell them to do?
I tell them to just to be like really honest. Like it's gonna be tough in that beginning stage because it's different stages and phases and whatnot. It's gonna be tough. So you're gonna start feeling guilt. You're gonna have doubts and whatnot. You're gonna want to give up. But usually, that's the what do you call it? That's the battle. So you have to be strong mentally, spiritually, emotionally, even physically, and you just have to push through because in the end, God's got you, and it's gonna be okay.
Okay. Thank you so much for answering these questions.
No
I hope
problem.
you have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
My name is Caden Lewis. I'm a freshman here at HSU and I play basketball.
Okay. Hi, Kaden. So today we're going to be talking about depression. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and if you could just be honest with me, that would be great. Okay. So the first question is, what is depression?
Depression is a serious mental health issue that we do not take, that we're not attentive to every day, and it's something we should take further action into because there's people that we know who go through it, but we don't know how to help them with it. And
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So what do you think causes depression?
Exclusion from friends, and certain activities, family issues, like divorces and all that type of stuff, or grades in school, just stressing over tests and overthinking certain situations that could easily be done.
Okay. So say your close friend is going through depression. How would you know that they are going through depression without them telling you that they are? So like, what do you think, like, what are some symptoms of depression?
Probably their kind of like the desire to not want to hang out anymore or being around each other. Them being kind of dry on text messages, and just wanting to stay in the house and not go out, or just saying they just want to be alone.
Okay. How do you think depression should be dealt with?
If you have like a close friend, you should reach out to them, someone you can trust, to talk about this situation, because depression is, like I said earlier, something we should be more head over heels about, because it's a serious problem that has led to a lot of deaths in the U.S. and all over the world. So if anything, you should find someone who you can really trust and talk about the situation so that you don't have to go through the pain that you're going through right now, so you can be happy and not fake it.
Okay. If you were to give advice to someone that is going through depression, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to keep their head up as much as possible and not let things get to you as easily as they are, and just to find somebody that you know you can share your thoughts with through this tough time, because at the end of the day you have to believe that they'll be there for you. So
Okay. Thank you, Kaden. Have a good day.
My name is Justine. I'm Becky's best friend.
Hey, Justine, how are you?
I'm good.
So today our topic is depression. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and you can relate to it, you can talk about it, whatever you want to do. Okay. So the first question is, what is depression?
Depression is kind of like drowning and not being able to come up for the air. It's an overwhelming feeling that like kind of just takes over you. You want to talk about it. You want to explain to people why you feel sad and why you feel these certain things, but you can't. and it's like a black kind of like shadow that like is always over you, and people can tell when you're sad and stuff, but you really have no reasons for it. It just happens.
Okay. What do you think causes depression?
A lot of things can cause depression. Heartbreak, child trauma. Certain people, they go through certain different things, so everybody's depression is completely different, and little things can trigger it, like, losing a dog, or losing a close friend, or losing a family member. Like, that's all can go towards it.
Okay. What do you think are some symptoms of depression?
Being sleepy is one of them. You want to sleep all day. You don't want to do anything. Being antisocial. You don't want to talk to anybody or do anything. You want to be by yourself most of the time.
Okay. How do you think depression should be dealt with?
It all just differs on the person. Some people respond better to different types of medications. Some people respond better to sitting with a therapist. Some respond better to doing both. I personally like seeing a therapist over taking medication.
Okay. If you know of anyone who has ever had depression or went through depression, what advice would you give them?
That you're not alone. That it's not an uncommon thing to be depressed, and that you shouldn't feel like it's the worst thing to ever happen to you. Because some people will be like, well, why are you depressed? Like, go to a doctor. It doesn't work that way. There's other people out there who will understand what you're going through, and that you're gonna get through it. There's never a person that's gonna stay depressed their whole life. Granted, it'll come and go, but you will get better.
Okay. Do you think there are any treatments out there that could cure depression rather than taking medication, or?
I don't think so, no.
Do you think a person can deal with depression and beat it through themselves? Like, they can do it themselves, or do you think they always have to have someone to help them?
I think if someone's strong enough, they can do it themselves, but it's hard to be that strong, because the depression comes over you and you don't know what to do. I was, I think, 16 when I was first diagnosed depressed, and I didn't know what was going on. I just kind of one day didn't feel like being here anymore. And it's like not suicidal stuff, but you just don't feel like being here. And so it was hard to do that by myself, because I was only 16. I didn't tell my parents about it until I was about 18. And then we went and saw a doctor, and that's when I started getting better. So it's a lot harder for people to do it by themselves.
Okay. Thank you, Justine. Have a good night.